And we're live. What's going on, everyone? It's Talks with Kenny, episode 40. Today, I'm gonna try not to get this video banned, so I'll try to stay away from controversial stuff. I don't know what is controversial anymore. YouTube, they don't really tell me the line. So, if you're wondering why this episode 40, it's not because I can't count. It's because episode 39 got removed from YouTube and it's on Rumble. It's available on Rumble if you guys want to see it for yourself. So, enough about me talking and getting warmed up. I kind of want to talk about victimhood and collectivism and how it seemingly is losing ground in our culture today. And first story I want to bring up is the Fani Willis story. I'm pretty sure people have been hearing about it. Fani Willis is an attorney that's prosecuting Trump right now in Georgia, if I remember correctly. And she hired her unqualified boyfriend or whatever to essentially prosecute Trump for double the rate. And she's been found to have been not stealing money, but she has been found to be, there's receipts showing that she's actually tied to the crime, like that she benefits from the corruption that associated with it. Sorry guys, I'm still trying to collect my thoughts. Bank records show that Fulton County DA Fani Willis traveled with her top prosecutor filing say, while Willis is accused of having an improper relationship with staffer Nathan Wade. The credit card statement of Fulton County Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade appears to show he paid for multiple trips for him and Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, which shows conflict of interest. Remember, she was going around saying black women ain't perfect. You guys are holding me to a higher standard. You only focusing on us because we're black. All this smokescreen to avoid accountability. And this is one of the reasons why I say victimhood is losing its ground, is losing its position in society, because now these people can't hide behind their race anymore, their ethnicity anymore, their identity anymore, because people are starting to get tired of it. According to copies of statements included in a new filing submitted by Wade's wife as part of their divorce proceedings, the filings made Friday could support allegations made by the defendant in the Willis's Georgia election interference case that Willis engaged in an improper relationship with Wade that resulted in financial gain for both of them. The reason why I wanted to cover this first is because this was the biggest race hustle. Oh my gosh. She said liberal black women taking L's all over the place. Love to see it. Breaking. Divorce papers revealed that Fani Willis' alleged lover and chief Trump prosecutor brought plane tickets for Fani Willis to travel to Miami and San Francisco, along with organizing luxury vacations on Royal Caribbean and Norwegian cruise lines. It's all here. All the receipts. Sorry, you guys can't see that. Look, the receipts are all here. Right, I forget my laptop is it's touchscreen, but as you can see, they balling out of control. Look at that, $12,000. They balling out of control, right? But oh no, they targeting me because I'm a black woman, right? This narrative's got to die soon. It's utterly gonna die, right? Here's another case of why I think the race hustle, the victimhood narrative is also losing ground. This is, of course, I'm pretty sure everyone saw this. This is currently going viral online. That Representative Barbara Lee was walking. She claimed that she was walking to the Capitol and a man stopped. Hey, walking as I walk home from work. Appreciated Grimes medals. A long time no see. Hope you have a safe walk home. So, Barbara Lee is out here, making up stories. Now, it could be true. But a lot of people ain't believing it anymore. Right? Back in the day, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, if a black woman said that she faced racism, people would immediately believe her story. Now, a lot more people are questioning her. So let's, dive in. Enough about me. Give my voice a little break. And let's hear the conversation, and I'll give you my commentary throughout. Let's go.
These are not little kinks, first of all. Racism, institutional racism, is in the DNA of this country. When you look at what has taken place, look at our Native Americans, the genocide of Native Americans. When you look at what has taken place as it relates to African Americans, the 250 years plus of enslaving African Americans, and then you look at the disparities now in our community in terms of health care, unemployment, the wealth gap, housing. You can't tell me that systemic racism does not exist. It's not just a
I can tell you that racism does not, systemic racism doesn't exist.
Racism, which is hard to address.
So personal racism exists, right? I agree. Personal racism exists. I can never face racism. You face racism everywhere you go, Barbara Lee. But when you start talking about institutional racism, this is where the problem starts arising. Because you start asking, hey, I want equal outcomes even though I don't do equal decisions. How can you become a doctor and someone else decides to be a janitor and you expect to get paid the same? You see how that don't correlate? If more white people become doctors and more black people become janitors comparative to each other, and white people make more money, that's not because of racism. That's because majority of white people decide to be doctors while majority of black people decide to be janitors. Boom, I just explained the disparity right there and then. But she wants to attribute it to race. She wants to attribute that, oh, the system's been holding black people down. No. Black people themselves have been holding each other down. They pass down generations of bad information, bad values, bad habits, bad decision making. And the values themselves create the outcome that we experience today. And instead of taking accountability for that, instead of black people looking themselves in the mirror and say, hey, we need to fix it. We need to change our behaviors. We need to change our habits. We need to change what we value in our culture. No. Let's scapegoat it and say it was because of systematic racism. The only thing that's systematically affecting black people today is the culture and values that we pass on to the next generation. The culture of I don't need no man, baby mama culture, fatherless home culture, and all the results of fatherlessness homes. Fatherless homes are more prone to poverty than married homes. Boom, that's half of the problem right there. If you grew up with a single mom, you're more prone to poverty than if you grew up in a two-parent household. A community that has 70% of their children born to single mothers, and you're surprised why the black community is economically at the bottom compared to other groups of people. Surprise, surprise. And I didn't even mention race not one time. My argument is if any community decides to be 70% single motherhood, they'll have the exact same results that black people have today. This is one of my hard-hitting arguments that behavior drives your outcomes. If black people do not change their behavior, they're always going to get the same outcomes. So instead of using the energy to correct their own actions and behaviors, they rather use their energy to have everyone make excuses and give them special considerations because they're not willing to change themselves. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. But I digress. Let's go. It's only a 30-second video, and I'm already rambling.
But I'll give you one little story that shows you why we need to understand that I don't think she really understands racism. I was walking from the House building on Capitol Hill to the Capitol, and a white guy, stopped me and told me I could not get into the members' elevator. And, we have pens, and I was going to vote. And he blocked me from getting into the elevator and told me I was not a member of Congress and it was for members only. I said, sir, I'm a member of Congress. And I showed him my pen, and he said, whose pen did you steal? Now, this is an example of what personal racism is and how people of color constantly have to deal with this each and every day. But systemic racism is in the policies of this country, and just look at what they're trying to do in terms of eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion. They're trying to
eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion is merely saying, here's an example. Diversity and inclusion, let's say diversity, DEI, was applied in a basketball game. And they say it's unfair that tall people get to score such points so much easier than short people. So as a penalty, we're going to deduct 1 point from tall players. So when a tall player make a 3, it's a 2. And when short players make a 3, it's a 4. We add a point for the short players. You're putting your thumb on the scale on the results of the game based on your personal preference of what you think will level out because of historical wrongs in society. And that's not curing racism. You're not racist for saying that you don't want DEI. You're saying, hey, it doesn't matter if a tall player makes a 3 or a short player makes a 3. The results should be the same. It's a 3. You get 3 points for it. We shouldn't be deducting points. We shouldn't be giving someone extra points because they happen to be a short player, an underrepresented player, a minority in the NBA. We don't play that game. And all we're saying is, hey, everyone play by the same rules. Equal opportunity. Equal judgment. Not having, because of you're black, even though you're not such a good player, we give you an extra point on the criteria because we're trying to get more of you in the game. DEI is racism under new management. Affirmative action is racism. You're discriminating against people based on the color of their skin. This is the people that see color. And personal racism aside, I can make an argument about ageism. I'm a young guy. I'm 27 years old, right? So I own a house, right? Which is not common for someone my age. And when I go do like taxes and stuff, people look at me, they go, and they see my income, they go, "You're 27 years old? I thought you were older." Now, imagine now, let's say I switch the age and I said and they say, "Oh, you make so much money. Oh, you own a house. Oh, that's impressive for a black guy." Oh, now you want me to be offended about that? When if you look at the odds, the average black man my age at 27 years old is not in my position. So of course, a lot of people are going to be surprised about where I'm at in life. But this is the problem I have. This is why victimhood is losing ground, right? It's the boy who cried wolf scenario. You cry and cry and cry enough, and people are going to start saying, they're going to start ignoring you. Grimes Metal said if it had happened, it would have been on camera. She would have been proudly showing it off the footage, and I'm surprised she didn't say and told her this is a mega elevator. Exactly. Jussie Smollett, right? Let's finish it off. 15 seconds, and then we'll go deeper into some of the victimhood narratives.
To not allow for an equal and level playing field. And so it's a very dangerous position that she...
I'm sorry, but I feel like I have to talk about everything she says. How is DEI creating an equal and leveled playing field? An equal level playing field is we are on solid ground. We ain't going to give booster seats to, oh, here you go, short player here. You're going to booster seats. No, you're already creating an advantage. And you're creating a handicap. How's that a fair game? We're not all born, like, these people don't understand what diversity is. I'm born to a family of 3 boys, and all of us all have different outcomes. Came from the same upbringing, grew up in the same location, share the same DNA, similar DNA, as close as it can be, and they have different outcomes. I don't understand where they get this dumb idea that equality is achievable across all racial groups, all human beings, when every human is a unique individual. Unique DNA that will never be, another DNA will never be before and will never be after. And they, in their minds, they think they can create equal outcomes. You only can create equal outcomes by disadvantaging one community and giving an over advantage to the other. And that you only can do that to an authoritarian means. If you believe in liberty, if you believe in freedom, instantly you're going to have different outcomes. Because everyone has different abilities, different strengths, different weaknesses, different interests. And to try to control that, you have to do it through an authoritarian means. This is why I laugh when the Democrats try to sit here and act like they're not the authoritarian party. Because they're here trying to force outcomes that is not realistic in our society. You want 50% representation of black people in representation, or 30%. And in some of these job fields, they're pushing DEI, like in STEM and technology, like science, technology, engineering, and math. There's not enough black people to realistically meet these quotas that they set in corporate America. But hey, I'm getting ahead of myself, right? 8 seconds.
She's clueless.
Well, that's a shame, and I'm sorry that you had to deal with that, Congresswoman. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah, no one believes her, especially not in 2024. This is the least racist that America has ever been, and you expect us to sit here and believe that a white man stopped you from coming into an elevator? Barbara Lee. You telling me a man that work at a Capitol didn't know who you are? I don't know how long you've been in Congress, Barbara Lee, but you telling me no one knows who you are? That someone's just gonna randomly stop you? Come on, bro. Dinesh D'Souza, I don't believe the story. It has that Jussie Smollett ring of inauthenticity. Caitlin Collins' uncritically reaction, and this is part of the liberal media, right? When something fits the liberal media's narrative, they don't want to question it. Adds to the atmosphere of political fakery. This is a fantastic story tale. Might have worked in the past, but now we are on the lies. Exactly. And this is a pattern I'm starting to notice. Like collectivism. Oh, why should I suffer for the sins of my ancestors? Why should white people feel guilty about their skin color just because people who share their skin color did bad things? It makes no sense. You can't justify that. Here's a tip, white people. If some black person try to make you feel guilty, I give you permission. You don't need to feel guilty about your skin color. If I don't have to feel guilty about my skin color, you shouldn't have to feel guilty about my skin color. How about that? Let's start there. How about this? White people, only 5% of y'all own slaves. How about that? Let's play that. Only 5% of y'all have any ties to slavery. Yet black people want to sit here and act like the whole country was complicit in it. Oh, racism, stop us. And this is why, as a first generation American, I believe that I'm in the best position to actually judge whether America is really racist or not. Because I didn't get passed down preconceived notions from previous generations about how America is. A lot of black Americans, especially the older black Americans, the black African Americans, so-called black African Americans, they like to pretend that they use their personal experience and they try to cascade it against the backdrop of America as a whole. They want me to judge America where it was instead of where it's at. Oh, racism happened in 1991. It's 2024. Update your software, ma'am. This is a new landscape. This is a new environment. You say systematic racism exists. Name me a law in the books that tells me I can't do something because of the color of my skin. Go. You can't. Everything's up here. Assumptions, fantasy, imagination. Black people suffer more from imagination than from reality. That's the truth. You're more frightened than hurt. You're more frightened than racism than you're actually hurt by racism. This is the reality of black America today. This is the reality of victimhood culture today. Your gender, your sex, your whatever you want to call yourself, however you want to label yourself, people always think they're a victim of something. When merely I see it as, no, that's a fantasy. That's you being frightened by imagination. When I ask for the reality, okay, tell me what's actually stopping you. Nothing. It's you. And this is why I think this is why victimhood is losing ground. Right? Mark Cuban, you know Mark Cuban, right? Mark Cuban's been on the news lately, right? He's been on Twitter wars. Mark Cuban, only morons think DEI is about quotas, and this guy comes in with proof. HP Inc. shares ambitious 2030 goals to drive a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive tech industry, right? Where most of these people who go into tech are Asians. I know, I work in tech. It's Indians, Asians, whites. Boom. Those are the main three. There's not enough black candidates to really fill up these quotas that they want to have in tech without lowering the standards or creating positions that just is tech adjacent. Right? Here's another. Amazon wants to double the number of black leaders in 2021, increasing their representation to about 8% of senior directors. If you look at some college degrees, some PhDs in STEM, there is no black person has ever gotten a degree in, I think, astrophysics or something. It's something super scientific. Imagine having a diversity quota about that. Hey, I want 13% of the physics education, researchers, industry to be black, minority representative. You good luck. When not a single black person has a PhD in aerospace degrees. Like, it's super scientific. I'm pretty sure someone's gonna let me know in the comment section or in the live chat if they have that information. Naming the degrees that they don't even have a single black graduate. W.E. Du Bois, who was the first black man to graduate from Harvard, his degree was in sociology. But the hard sciences, good luck. But they want to keep chasing their tail because this is political fakery. I agree with Dinesh D'Souza. This is political fakery. This is an attempt to look good, not be good. Look at that. 2020 commitment by Airbnb said it will donate a total of $500,000 to the NAACP and Black Lives Matter Foundation. It also said that it would match employee donations to both groups. The company also said that by the end of 2021, 20% of its board of directors and executive team collectively would be made up of people of color. By the end of 2025, Airbnb said its goal is to have 20% of the U.S. employees be underrepresented minorities, and for 50% of the global employees who identify in gender binaries to be women. Airbnb also said each member of its executive team will create and share a detailed plan to meet these goals with their teams. Now, the reason why I like to use sports as the ultimate analogy to debunk DEI is because the performance is self-evident. It's obvious. If I pick a team, we all know the outcome. We all know the outcome. This is why I like about this is why I like. I think I retweeted something that I was like, truer words have never been spoken. If you test your theory in reality and you have a claim, hey, DEI creates the best workforce. I go, okay, you want to bet money on it? You bet money on it. What's going to happen? You choose a team based on DEI standards and I choose a basketball team based on merit. Who's going to have the better outcome? My team ain't going to look diverse. My team going to be 74% black. Your team going to have every ethnicity. You're going to have an Asian, Indian. You're going to have all one short player, one tall player, one midget. My team is going to be average 6'4", and up. Most of them black. Jumping out the gym, shooting threes like Steph Curry. Crossing you over, your little midget teammate going on the floor. Y'all gonna get destroyed. Y'all gonna get blown out by 50 points. And I'm gonna walk away with an easy, whatever money we bet on. Because the results matter. And this is why now we have these people playing dangerous games with DEI. This is why victimhood and collectivism is losing ground. Because now we're putting our nation at risk with this dumb ish. Airplane people, they want to add more people into DEI, right? We want to put women of color and to go to airplanes. You know, statistically, women handle stress worse than men. You do know that, right? Statistically, that's statistics. That's psychology. Don't shoot me. I'm just reporting the facts here. Women deal with stress worse than men do. Women are more prone to depression than men. So driving an airplane, flying an airplane, that's a high stress. You have the lives of everybody in your hands. Now, with enough training, I'm sure they can overcome it. But given that biological advantage, men will tend to make better pilots. That's why the pilot industry is male dominated. But they don't like that. They don't like that white men are a majority of anything, even though they represent 66% of the country. This is people who the DEI stuff secretly is people who want to play God. That's what it is. They say, I don't like that. I want to recreate reality in my image. This is the motive of DEI. We don't have real problems anymore. Now we go out and create our own problems. That's what DEI is showing me, right? We make these DEI standards. We give special treatments to certain groups of people. And then it creates a domino effect where people go, oh, you're a black airplane pilot? Ooh, I want to get off this plane. And then you're going to say, oh, it's because of my skin color. And you're right. It is because of your skin color, but not for the same reason as it was 60, 50, 70 years ago. It's not because they hate your skin color. It's because they know, oh, the standards was lowered for you, and you may not be as qualified as if a white guy was driving this airplane. And you inevitably create discrimination against yourself because people give you special treatment, because people will see you as less competent, because people lower the standards for you based on your skin color. You got in because of racism, and the results will be racism. You'll get racist treatment. People are going to feel less confident in your abilities and skills because what? We created a double standard for you. We created a racial standard. And people know when black people or minorities get a racial standard, it's usually a lowered standard. This is the result of bigotry of low expectations. I'm done beating this wild horse though. So Konstantin Kazatin, who is going to be, we're going to talk more about it with Victimhood as a Currency. All you need to know about Western civilization. The people who are the strongest advocate for Western civilizations are people like me who have experienced the alternative. I've been to my parents' home country. I've been to Haiti, where they have rolling blackouts, where you get power every 2 weeks. Where I had to get up 6 a.m. in Haiti, 6 a.m, walk my butt with the men in the village, go up a hill and get get water out of a well and drag that ish all the way back to the house. At 8 years old, I was doing that. When I got back to the States after my time in Haiti, I almost cried because water was coming out of the faucet. It made me appreciate this country. And I think a lot of people in America who never been outside of America don't know how good they have it. It goes to that wise saying, people do not know what they have it. People don't respect what they have until they lose it. And that's true. The people who are the biggest critics of Western civilization has never experienced anything else. And that's a lot of black people. I'm not like, look. I'm keeping it 100 with you, okay? Not a lot of black people travel outside of the U.S. They complain about racism. Oh, America's a racist country. Okay, go somewhere else. You're gonna experience real racism. You want to experience real racism? Go to Japan. Go to these ethnically homogenous cultures. See how you get treated over there. But you want to complain about racism here. Easiest place to be black is in America and in other Western countries. You go anywhere else, you're more liable to face more actual racism. That's just my thoughts. I don't know. I could be wrong about this. That's an opinion I just gave. But let's talk about the World Economic Forum. So President of Argentina, Javier Milel, stuns a groom of globalists at the World Economic Forum into science after exposing them to their face for destroying the West. And this is true. I'm here to tell you that the Western world is in danger, and it's in danger because those who are supposed to have defend the values of the West are co-opted by a vision of the world that inexplicably leads to socialism and thereby to poverty. Right? So we're going to play, it's a 1-minute clip, and this time I'll let it ride, guys. Right? Me yapping all day, give my voice a break, and then I'll give you my thoughts at the end of the clip. Let's go.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Today, I'm here to tell you that the Western world is in danger. And it is endangered because those who are supposed to have to defend the values of the West are co-opted by a vision of the world that inexorably leads to socialism and thereby to poverty. Unfortunately, in recent decades, motivated by some well-meaning individuals willing to help others, and others motivated by the wish to belong to a privileged caste, the main leaders of the Western world have abandoned the model of freedom for different versions of what we call collectivism. We're here to tell you that collectivist experiments are never the solution to the problems that afflict the citizens of the world. Rather, they are the root cause. Do believe me, no one better placed than us, Argentines, to testify to these 2 points.
I was on mute, but yeah, damn it, freedom, long live freedom, damn it. That's what he says, right? And one of the things with the World Economic Forum and why I don't agree with it at all is because the World Economic Forum is our modern version of aristocrats or technocrats. That's a technocracy is what we're trying to say. A group of people that merely because they control technology, they believe they get to be the judge, executioner, and jury on what is permissible and what is not, based on their own flawed and limited worldview. And a lot of these people are very socialist, Davos is overrun by Europeans and they have a different way of thinking about things, right? They don't believe in liberty. They don't believe in spontaneous order. They believe in centralized control. They believe in them making the dictates, edicts, and we must follow, right? They believe in a ruling class and a peasant class. And they believe that, hey, we're the elites. We're the ruling class. We have a right to tell you what is permissible and what is not permissible in society. We have a right to control what you think and what you get exposed to, right? I did some recent videos about how it seems like leftists don't seem to want to critically think about anything. They just do as they're told. Oh, if the authorities say that vaccines prevent COVID, then it must be true. If the authorities say that I must take this vaccine, regardless if it's actually good for me or not, on a personal level, I must take it because the authority says so. They want us smart enough to repeat and regurgitate everything they tell us, but dumb enough not to challenge them. Like, this is the kind of society that modern education has really bred. They don't want people to question anything, right? Meaning you have a contrary opinion on anything, you get hit with misinformation. But if you ask them, hey, prove what I said, how do you know what I said is misinformation? Oh, it just is. No one with any credibility has said what you just said. It doesn't matter. Before, in the 1910s, people with credibility thought that Jewish people had low IQs because of the fact that they were born Jewish. And then you obviously, that's been debunked, because now you got people making conspiracy theories about how the world is run by them. But in the 1910s, you had all the experts, all the genetic determinists saying that, oh yeah, Jewish people have low IQ because they do bad on tests. And then someone came out and with a contrary opinion and said, no, Jewish people are doing bad on these IQ tests because they don't properly understand English yet. They don't understand our language yet. That's why they're doing bad in the test. And what do you know? The person happened to be right. But trust authority. That's a fallacy. Just because people of authority who have power and leverage in society says to do one thing doesn't necessarily make them right. This is one thing that, having a principle, not deriving your validation from other people. This is the kind of insights that you can get. You have the strength and fortitude to actually challenge people of authority. Hey, I may not be a doctor, but I know this to be true. I know natural immunity is a thing. And now you're trying to pretend that COVID is some unique virus that natural immunity cannot affect? That goes outside the norms and historical patterns that we've known throughout human history. This is why a lot of socialists destroy history, because they don't want you to be able to compare and contrast what they're doing right now to anything that's done in the past. Because history, it may not repeat itself, but it sure as hell rhyme. And what the WEF is becoming, and it's rhyming right now. I told you, history is rhyming right now. They're trying to become an aristocratic class that they want to be the interest group that guides all of society. And inevitably, you create a society that only benefits people of the WEF. You only run it in their worldview. This is why you get advertisers pulled out from X, because X is saying stuff and allowing conversations that the WEF don't like. That's why the number one concern for WEF is not because of, it's not economic downturns, it's not recession, it's not poverty. In the name is the World Economic Forum. No, what they care about is what? Misinformation, disinformation, because the reality is misinformation and disinformation for the WEF is merely people having contrary opinions, counter evidence, counter facts to the direction that we want to take society in. And my biggest example of this is climate change. As you guys know, I'm a big climate change skeptic. I'm a skepticist when it comes to climate change, because I don't believe climate change is actually as much as a threat as these people pretend it to be. But I digress. I'm gonna give my voice a break, and we're gonna let this video play out, and I'll give you my thoughts at the end of the clip. Let's go.
I mean, ecocide as a word is becoming better known around the world, and the concept is generally mass damage and destruction of nature. But legally speaking, what our organisation and other collaborators aim to do is to have this recognised legally as a serious crime. Because one of the issues that sort of pervades all of this discussion is that we have a kind of cultural, very ingrained habit of not taking damage to nature as seriously as we take damage to people and property. And that, I mean, if you're campaigning for human rights, at least mass murder, torture, all of these things are serious crimes. But there's no equivalent in the environmental space. And so, unlike an international crime like genocide that involves a specific intent, with ecocide, what we see is actually what people are trying to do, what businesses are trying to do, is make money, is farm, is fish, is do all of these things that are producing energy and so on as well. But what's missing is the awareness and the conscience around the side effects, around the collateral damage that happens with that.
So you heard the lady, right? That's what the tweet said. I guess we just all supposed to starve, and it seemed like she doesn't miss too many meals. Dog Jude is funny. So let me counter this little point real quick. Ecocide. Do you know, guys, that there's a correlation with humans' impact with nature? And one of the ways humans impact on nature is AC, air conditioning. Every time you turn on your AC, every time you turn on your heater, you're burning fossil fuels somewhere far away. You may not see it. It may not be directly one-to-one, but you're burning fossil fuels. My house is a solar panel house. And even though I don't use a lot of energy, I still use a lot of energy. Like, I got 2 kids, a wife. Yeah, I use a lot of energy. But the grid is still supported by fossil fuels because solar energy, you don't produce enough to really take care of the house, especially when the usage of electricity goes up, right? And that's usually when winter, because the heater, it uses a lot of electricity, okay? And this is the reality of solar. Green energy is not efficient enough. It's not cost effective enough to replace fossil fuels, right? To power the whole United States, we only live on 5% of the American continent. 5%, only 5%. All 300 million of us only live on 5% of the U.S. Of the Americans landscape on America's continental landscape. It will take the solar panels. There's not enough space on this continent to power to replace the electrical burden that fossil fuels is holding currently in our country. Solar, wind cannot replace fossil fuels. This is why when Trump say build, sorry, I got to get the voice right. Drill, baby, drill. I messed it up. It's been a while since I did a Trump voice. But when he said drill, baby, drill, that's what he's talking about. We need to produce more energy, but Biden's doing what? Oh, we don't want to give out any leases, so these gas and oil companies can't frack. We're putting a lot of restrictions, a lot of regulation on them. We're putting because we don't want them to do that. That's a personal choice. That's the emotional choice. That's a personal feelings choice. I don't care how you feel. And in our society today, I've been thinking about how, atheists, they talk about how, we only live for pain. We live to avoid pain and seek pleasure. But this eco stuff, this green religion, they're worshiping the earth. Like, oh my God, look, I have to sacrifice myself for the betterment of the earth. And I'm like, nah, I'm a conservative. I care about my people. I care about the humans. If you ask me, pick the earth or humans, I'm picking humans. Because the reality is, I'm not worried about climate change. Because with fossil fuels, right? Let's say we burning fossil fuels and we make the earth hotter by like a decimal of a degree. Yes, you got that right. When they go complain about, it's the hottest year it's ever been, it's by decimals, not by degrees. It's by decimals. Because a lot of these predictive climate models, they over exaggerate the amount of heat and warming that we go through. And fossil fuels allow us to control our climate. We can have the AC on, right? Fossil fuels, energy, and technology allow us to adapt to our climate. So is climate change really an inherent danger to us as a species? Nope, not really. And you're going to kill more human life by taking us off fossil fuels. An example is in Africa. There's some poor countries in Africa. They don't have power at all. If you are born, let's say you're a premature baby. If you're born in a place that don't have the power to enough power and energy to power an incubator, you die as a child. That's what happens if we use less energy. A lot of the modern miracles and technologies that we take for granted, we will no longer have access to them because we don't have fossil fuels anymore. And this is what the elites want. Haiti's an example of this too. Rolling blackouts. They have to conserve energy. They're going to be rationing out energy. Look at California. California's already experiencing some of this because their power grid do not produce enough energy to power the whole state. Yet they're insistent on making everyone go down this road. This is why collectivism is losing ground. Because everyone understands that the leaders of these collectivist movement, they want the majority to sacrifice for the benefit of the minorities. That's usually what happens with these people in these socialistic, communistic countries. Those in power benefit from the labor and the knowledge and the abilities of the majority. At least in a capital system, individuals can benefit off their own skills, ability, and labor at their own discretion. It's at will. They can choose to work for someone else or work for themselves. But in a socialist country, you have to work for the government. You have to work in the interest of the state or else. This is why government always do things with the threat of force. Javier continues to direct the WEF. Good for him. The main leaders of the Western world has abandoned the model of freedom for different versions of what we call collectivism, a path to socialism. Right? This week, in 1971, there was an organization that was established by Karl Schwab, who was a German engineer, economist, and professor with a James Bond villain accent. He created this organization so that heads of businesses and heads of state could discuss what he called stakeholder capitalism, which in my view is a form of socialism. This is a socialism where corporations and people of state collaborate together to enforce their rule. And this is why I say socialism is always based on a small interest group using their power, leverage, and influence for the masses to support their vision. Stakeholder capitalism was a theory he expressed that essentially suggests that if you own a company, you ought not answer to your shareholders. If you manage a company, you ought not answer to profit margins or shareholders. And the flaw with stakeholder capitalism is it kind of breaks that boundary between government and the economy and state, because that's what socialism is. Socialism is, hey, we have authority, we have influence over the private sector. And what this is doing is saying, hey, private sector, public sector, we collaborate together to influence all of society. Hey, we don't want a woke beer. We don't want Dylan Mulvaney on a beer can. Well, it doesn't matter because our stakeholders, right? You see what it did there? Shareholders keep this is why I believe shareholder capitalism is better than stakeholder capitalism. Shareholder capitalism forces the corporations to only worry about getting money, making money. This helps keep it separate. This helps incentivize separation of power. Hey, because end of the day, corporations and business, they have a lot of power. Imagine corporations and businesses not wanting to hire you based on your political beliefs. That's a big power that corporations have. Now imagine the state and the corporations are in cahoots with each other. That's a lot of power, right? With shareholder capitalism, hey, there's a penalty if the business deviates from profit and loss, right? If it starts getting into social issues, hey, I wonder, it doesn't matter how much money we lose. We're pushing it to push an agenda. Shareholder capitalism keeps private businesses from getting involved in the social, because end of the day, the government, there's a reason why the government has limited liability, legal law, business. This is the reason why businesses are treated differently from employees and people, because the government made a distinct case. Hey, legal entity called a business. Your only job is to worry about this, making money, making people money, making yourself money, and delivering a good product. That's it. We don't want you involved in politics. We don't want you involved in social issues, campaign, using your funds to steer society in a certain way. This is why ESG technically, in my view, it violates the Constitution, because in a way, and this is what the founding fathers warned about. You're letting businesses kind of influence the public sector, and the public sector is kind of interfering with the private sector. You have FBI agents going on Twitter saying, "Hey, we don't want these opinions expressed." Right? And the left like to talk about separation of church and state, but the left don't want to talk about separation of business and state. And I think that's what I want. I want separation of business and state. Hey, business, you move from that line, all the benefits you have as a limited liability corporation will get legally removed from you. Right. And I think Vivek made a great case for it. I forgot what book it was. I think it was in The Nation of Victims. He laid out very policy wise, why is a good thing to allow businesses, force businesses to only focus on profit and loss, because it creates a narrow lane, a limited government, a limited game. Hey, this is your lane, business. Stay in your lane. You cross it, you'll suffer a penalty. Right? I went on a tangent about that, but instead you ought to answer to every stakeholder in the world, meaning governments, meaning people who don't even own companies, even own stocks in your company, meaning everyone. This is socialism, right? I own my car, but if everyone has a say on what's going on in my car, oh, Kenny, I don't like the fact you drive a Honda. Hey, Kenny, I don't like the fact that, but you're not paying for it. It's going to come out of my pocket. So I'm going to suffer the penalty for all the changes because I have to please everybody, but not everyone is contributing to maintaining the car. AKA, as a shareholder, hey, I got stock in this company. I got 10% ownership in this company. Hey, I don't like the direction this company is going because you're making us lose money. Oh, but look about DEI. Look at this. Yes, but you're hiring less competent people, and that's hurting our bottom line. We're not in the business of doing that. And so essentially you're not taking, people in society are not taking the risk, but they want the corporations to work on their behalf. This is typical left-wing tactics. This is why the left protest. They cry and complain, "Oh, I'm not going to buy from you, Walmart, anymore," when the person never bought from Walmart in the first place. This is why left-wing boycotts don't tend to work. Left-wing boycotts tend to make a lot of noise, but they don't even do anything economically, because then some businesses start finding out, damn, the left don't really buy anything. Yes, most of the time, these people who have all the time in the world to make viral videos, to complain all day online, on Twitter, on X, they don't have a job. They don't have resources. They don't have money. When the left protests, it's usually all bark, right? But because of stakeholder capitalism, corporations are supposed to listen to all that bark, all that distrust, and they're not supposed to worry about money. Hey, these people ain't gonna hurt our bottom line, but it's gonna hurt our brand, our brand. We don't want to hurt our social brand. And this is how these woke companies end up becoming woke, because of stakeholder capitalism. This is socialism. Sorry, I went on a tangent. Now you must ask yourself, then to whom are you accountable? Because it turns out that the rodeo who doesn't own the rando who doesn't own shares in your company can actually fire you or sell your stock or change everything about the way you run your company, a la Bud Light. Hey, these people, I forgot her name. First woman of marketing VP, first VP of marketing in Bud Light. First year in the job, made the company lose billions of dollars. But you don't want to fire her because, it's not going to look good on our bottom line. But she made the company lose money. She has to go. This is why, as a constitution, we got to force people, if you're a business entity, you cannot talk about social issues. That's why the whole Disney stuff, I found it appalling. I find, Kenny, there are private businesses. They have free speech too. No, they don't. Businesses shouldn't have free speech because businesses aren't treated like people. Because at the end of the day, if a business, let's say a business lose all your money, you can't go and sue the business. But if I lose all your money, you can come sue me. Hey, he lost my money. We treat businesses differently than we treat individual human beings. That's for a reason. So therefore, rights and privileges that individual human beings get from the constitutions, businesses don't get. And one of them is this freedom of speech. No, y'all don't have a right to do that. It's a private company. They can do whatever they want. No, they can't. Because a business is merely a legal entity. It's literally saying, hey, look, this is the bracket you fall on. That's why the LLCs have the sole proprietor, S corp. That's why they have these different legal structures for corporations. Because businesses are not individual people. We don't treat businesses like people. That's one thing I agree with progressives on. But I believe that businesses should focus on making money. That's why we give them the special carve out in legal affairs. The answer that Charles Schwab would give is, you're answerable to no one. You as the head of a company should be like a king with his own little kingdom. Then I just started complaining about how the WEF want to rule the world. You are the head of the company and should be a lord. And the company should act as your freedom. I forgot to say it. I forgot how to say it. But your freedom, like your kingdom, sorry. And you could pretend that you're acting in the name of the general will. And there's a wise saying that says, if you're accountable to everyone, you're accountable to no one, because you can't please everyone. And the fact that you can't please everyone means that you're always going to disappoint someone. So you can go, so you could always brush it off like, I can't do that. When in reality, you really wanted to do, you didn't really care. Oh, Kenny, I don't agree with you. uploading 3 times a day. Well, a lot of people seem to like it, whether that's true or not. Some people could like it, right? There's always going to be someone who's going to disagree with what you're doing. And you can always use the fact that, it's not me making the decision. My hands are tied because these other people are not liking it too. I gotta think about them too. This is why I don't like these multinational companies trying to put rules and regulations based on what other people are doing. The EU do something. Oh, now all the companies in America are forcing us to comply. I'm like, yo, we're not in Europe. Why are you making us comply to these rules from the EU? This is why stakeholder capitalism, aka socialism, global socialism. And I'm glad Javier Milei called them out to their face. So we're getting to the last 20 minutes of the stream. And I kind of want to talk about victimhood as a currency, right? Victimhood is used as a way, they tug at our heartstrings. And this is one of the reasons why I think victimhood, I got to play. I think this is one of the reasons why victimhood is losing ground as well. It's because it's making us soft as a society, right? I believe in being anti-fragile. What does being anti-fragile mean? Being resilient, being willing to handle hardships, disagreements, being uncomfortable. And I think that's what we have lost as a society. We don't have people who want to stand up anymore. That's why this past few days, when I did the video with the UFC champion, he said he was cursing a lot, but he stand on his beliefs. And I think we've lost that as a culture. And I think that if we want victimhood and collectivism to continue losing ground, then people who believe in rugged individualism need to stand on their beliefs, need to have the courage to speak out, stand up, and fight at a cultural level in any capacity they can. Because these people, these collectivists, they're very authoritarian. They love pushing their weight around. They love pushing their beliefs on other people. They love trying to shame you, smear you, because they don't care about speaking the truth. They care about having the perception on their side because they believe perception is reality. But perception isn't reality. Because at the end of the day, perception is merely an imagination of what you think things are. Right? I let reality dictate what is true or not. I don't try to think what is true. I don't believe it's true that, therefore, whatever I think, therefore I am. No, you're not. You can think you're the most handsome man in the world, but if all the women call you ugly, or it's very hard for you to get a date compared to other dudes, you must accept the reality that you're ugly. Transgenderism is the ultimate encapsulation of this perception. The left says, man can be women. And they try using every avenue other than persuasion and argument to force you to comply to their worldview. And my argument has always been, and this is kind of a liberal argument, is that if it requires force for me to do something good, then the good automatically gets canceled out by the bad that you needed to do to acquire it. For example, if I had something that can save your life, but you didn't want to take it, and I try to convince you every which way to take the medicine to save your life, and you refuse me, and then I force it in your arm, I inject vaccine in you, and then the disease happened and killed everybody, but you got to survive because I forced the vaccine on you. Is that a good thing? Nope. If you're a liberal, you should be shaking your head no, because why? Because I forced you to take it. Anything done by force is not good because you coerce, you twisted someone's arm to do something against their own will, because for a liberal, free will stands above everything. Liberty stands before everything, right? As a conservative, what makes me different from a liberal is I believe it's immoral to force something on other people, but I also believe that you have a duty, and there's a limit to how far you can push. So if I want to persuade, I believe in freedom of speech. I can try to persuade you as much as I can, but if you don't want to take the vaccine, hey, as long as you know your choice, as long as you know what you're doing, as long as you understand the risk, I'll let you suffer the consequences of that. That's what a conservative will do. I'm not here trying to, oh my God, we got to save everybody. No, I save who I can. And I'm not going to force my beliefs on other people. But I have the ability and I have the right to express what I believe to be true, what I believe is better for society. If society doesn't want to go along with it, okay, let society fall. But don't get mad at me. Don't come try to raid my house because, oh my God, I know Kenny prepared. Let's go. And then you're going to get mad that I defend myself. right? Because this is the game that liberals play, not liberals. This is the game that a lot of left-wing authoritarians do, is that they'll be wrong about something. And then when they get suffering when the karma comes back for them, they expect conservatives to come out and stand for them. We're like, no. You push for censorship. You reap what you sow. You push censorship, and now you're getting mad that censorship is being used against you. Now you want us to come speak on your behalf. No. That's not how it's supposed to work. But I digress. I rambled too long. Let's go into a short clip. I'm probably going to spend like 2 minutes on this, and then I'll wrap up the stream. Appreciate you guys for all who have been watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the content so far. Let's get into the video.
A bunch of different people trying to understand what is going on. Why are people thinking like this? Why is this going on? And that's kind of my journey to where I am today.
So what conclusion have you come up with all these people you've been interviewing? Why do you think they're thinking the way they're thinking? It doesn't make a lot of logical sense. Just yesterday, the guy from Star Wars, what's his name?
George
pull up his
Takei.
tweet. I mean, there's been a Twitter war the last 48
Mr.
hours.
Sulu from Star Trek.
He tweets this yesterday, and I asked a innocent question, wanting to become smarter as a guy that's not a scientist, hoping he can help me out. But I didn't hear back from him. So, George, if you're watching this, please help me get a little bit more clear on this. So he posted yesterday on Twitter, I am now following Peter Hotez, and every decent person who believes in science, not quackery, should too. And then I said, George, according to science, how many genders are out there? I haven't gotten a response back.
Nothing yet.
And so I'm wondering, how do we get here? Like, this stuff is logical.
Right.
It's common sense, but it sounds like the other side is creating a lot of momentum with things that make absolute no sense. Why?
Because they're authoritarians and they have power. And one of the things that the left really focuses on is trying to get into positions of power, right? We saw a little bit of it with the Carl Schwab quote. I can go back if you guys want. Heads of a company should be like a lord, and the company should act as his kingdom. And you can pretend that you're acting in the name of the general, right? So you're answerable to no one because you're head of a company. So therefore, as a socialist, communist, leftist, you seek power of authority and credibility. That's why you focus on, that's why the Democrats love to push out this idea that, oh, we have the monopoly on the educated vote, to try to see, hey, like, only smart people vote for us. Dumb people vote for the Republicans. That's their passive way of signaling their authority, their power, their credibility, right? But they don't stand on truth. They only stand on perception. They only stand on something that looks good. Oh, don't we look good? Don't we look good that we got the majority of the educated vote? But then if you look at who runs these institutions, 12-to-1 ratio, liberal to conservative. For every one conservative, there's 12 liberal professors. That means these kids are being essentially indoctrinated into a left-wing view of the world. And then people are surprised why our culture is so passively liberal, because they took over these institutions and they were able to pass down their values. Because that is kind of the inconvenient truth about schooling, is that in a way, just as you pass down knowledge in school, you also pass down values in school. And one of the worst things that happened to our society, and I honestly believe that, was banning the Bible. Because in a way, the Bible was kind of like a countermeasure to humanist secular thinking, right? Because you had, hey, there's morality that's based outside of your own reason and circumstances. While atheist, humanist says, no, you define your own morality, and a morality that can supersede your morality is something created by society, which is, in a democratic process, the state. And they go, okay, if I want my morality to be the norm, then I must get positions of power in the state. And this is why every socialist, this is why socialist is only the transitional mark for communists, because Karl Marx admit this, and I'm giving out the playbook for the socialist communists, is that when they instill socialism essentially create the environment necessary for a communist to come in and take over. All the communists have to do is kill the socialists, and then boom, he has power. And that's what the left wing's always been about. Gaining power, gaining positions of power. So that way we can put our worldview as law, because we're head of the company now. What we say goes. If we don't want to hire people of a certain political ideology, that is all right, because we're the head of the company. This is why they don't create anything. This is the funny part about socialists, is they always claim that they're always the better system. But socialists only work after capitalism solved poverty. You never see a country that was poor become socialist and then become prosperous later down the road. No, it's always after the capitalism takes the country from being poor to somewhat well off. That's when the socialists want to come in and take over and say, oh, we can make everything better. But inevitably, they make things worse. But I digress, right? But that's also victimhood too, right? They want to take advantage of all the, look at the resources we got, right? Black people, richest group of black people in the world, Americans, black Americans. But we're complaining about poverty, struggle, all this stuff. And we use victimhood based on the past, based on what our ancestors faced through, based on what previous generations of black Americans suffered. And then we use that to justify us getting special treatment. But we get our special treatment and now we're crashing planes. We're lowering the competency level of the field in the industry, right? We start losing skills, losing abilities. And next thing you know, the country turns to ish. Why? Because we're not putting the best people for the job. We're putting a minority for the job. All you have to do is look at the Claudine Gay situation. A plagiarist. You think imagine we keep hiring based on DEI and then we get a bunch of these researchers who just plagiarists, who just knows how to regurgitate someone else's work. Eventually, we're going to have incompetent people as our experts. And that's slowly what's happening today. You got Al Gore. I don't know what his credentials is, but I know he spreads a lot of misinformation about climate change. Talking about how we're going to die in 12 years. 12 years later, we still here. Making outrageous claims, exaggerated claims, creating, dramatizing how the effects of climate change. And then when the time comes, when it's time for the chickens to roost, nothing happens. And you find out, these people are just trying to scare us into giving up our power, to giving up our freedom, to giving up our control over our lives so they can dictate what is good for us and what is not. The thing that tyrants love to say for people to give up their freedom and their power to them is, I'm here to help. I'm here to make society safe. I'm here to save the world. They always say it in some good language because tyrants are good at looking good, but they're not good at being good. Sorry about that long rant, but essentially that's what victimhood is. Victimhood is using the fact that you are a victim and then abusing all of society to, I guess, to capitulate to your whims and wishes. The reality is victimhood is used as a weapon to gain power and control. The same way a tyrant says, hey, I'm here to save you. I'm here to make you safe. But to make you safe, you have to give me power and control. And then when they get the power and control, they make your life worse. You end up becoming a slave to them. You end up working to fund their lifestyle, fund their bad policies, fund their Green Deal, fund their vision of the world. Abstract 90% of your labor and use that money to waste it on some pipe dream, some fantasy land imagination that they had in their brain. Victimhood is operating in the same way. Emotional blackmail. But I digress, guys.
Is that?
Well, I think if you look at the stats on what happens post 2014 when social media really takes off, this is a disease of social media, this idea that there's an infinite number of genders, because in the disembodied online world, you can say that, right? So the more we go into living online, the easier it is to believe things that aren't true because there's no hard test. Like if I pick up this bottle of water and let it go, we know what's going to happen because it happens in the real world. But how do you falsify that? How do you test that, right? So I think that part of this is it's a disease of social media. And then we've also got to a position, and Jonathan Haidt writes about this in The Coddling of the American Mind, where we've created successive generations of people who've not been brought up properly, and victimhood is now currency, right? Again, this is an online phenomenon. If I'm a first generation immigrant in the UK, okay, a dark skin. If I say, well, people have been racist to me, which they have, right? Therefore, here's some things that are true. People are much more likely to listen to that, even though there's no reason to actually take my opinion any more seriously than anybody else's, right? Exactly. So we've got to ourselves.
That's why I always say, racism is a personal issue. It's not a systematic, it's not an institutional, because I'm gonna ask for proof. If you tell me your personal experience, I'm like, hey, I can't really question your personal experience, so I guess you did face racism, but doesn't mean just because you face racism doesn't mean I need to worry about racism in my life, right? Just because you're poor doesn't mean I'm gonna be poor. Just because we share skin color, right? This is why I don't buy this lived experience BS that they love to like push on us, right? And there's a good point about social media, and I like Jonathan Haidt. I like his books, Calling of the American Mind. I think he wrote the book Anti-Fragile as well. And this is why our society has become soft. It's because we don't go through hardship anymore, right? We are proof. Like, this is one of the reasons why I think the Bible was such an important book that we kind of neglected. Because by banning the Bible, what the American school system has done is essentially banned timeless wisdom that stood the test of time. And we're learning everything what the Bible, all the presumptions and assumptions that the Bible had about human beings and human nature. We're finding out the hard way that it is true. Man don't work, man don't eat. Okay, what happens when large swaths of society decides not to work? The whole system crumble. Our entire tax system is funded by 20% of the taxpayers. If those 20% decide, I don't want to work anymore, the government's taking too much of my money, the whole tax system collapse. The government's going to mismanage all our funds because there's not enough money coming in. And what they're going to have to do, they'll be forced to what? Extract more resources from us. Force us to work. Right? And like we said, liberals should agree with me. The government's going to start coming down and start forcing people to work against their own best interest. Conservatives, we believe that, hey, we're stewards of the earth, right? We're stewards of ourselves. Your rights end where mine begin. You may have a right to believe that you're a woman, but I have the right to express that you're not a woman. And you shouldn't be trying to jockey to the government. Oh, please, daddy government, please, mommy government, punish this other individual because he doesn't want to believe my self-perception of myself. He didn't believe that I'm a woman, even though I can't prove I'm a woman, but it says so in my social media platform. And that's the reason. I think this is why we're such a confused culture. Social media really is messing us up. I honestly believe that. I did a video earlier, and maybe I'll end it off here, that social media, I believe, is making our society more narcissistic. And I think transgenderism, and tell me if I'm lying in the comment section. Let me know if you agree with me in the comment section or in the live chat. I believe transgenderism is an extension of narcissism. And all this transgender stuff, it started on social media. And it blew up on social media. People use it as an avenue to gain attention, fame, right? Use the victimhood status, right? I just did a video with Matt Walsh about the victimhood hierarchy. Transgender people, they're at the top of that, right? There's studies that show the correlation that there's an overwhelming amount of transgender youth in liberal blue cities. Social contagion, but if you mention any of these terms, liberals want to try to smear you as a conspiracy theorist. Oh, no credible scientist has backed you up. I don't need no credible science to back me up. I need them to disprove my statement, and they can't falsify it. So because they can't falsify it, they'll try to censor you. You don't cut a man's tongue because you're scared. You scared that he's lying. You're scared about what he's gonna say next. And I think that's the honest to God truth about why victimhood and collectivism is losing ground in our culture today. So let's get back up one more minute and then I'll wrap up the live streams. Appreciate you guys for watching. Like the video if you can, but let's get back into the video.
Into a position where people are rewarded for being victims, and their claims about reality are given more credibility because of that.
So you get recognition for being a victim. Mm-hmm. Social media creates the eyeballs. Let me get a little bit of attention, and that's causing other people to do the same because it's getting attention.
100%.
Social contagion.
100%. What about, and the problem with social media, right, is it rewards ideas that sound good but aren't true, and it punishes ideas that are true but don't sound good. I'll give you an example. If you go online and you say, look, you live in a systemic patriarchy, blah, 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 and that's why you are where you are, well, that's really reassuring because nothing's my fault, right?
Yep.
What about you go online and you say, no one's coming to save you?
Yep.
Your life is your responsibility.
Yep.
Oh, I gotta take responsibility for my life now. I gotta go out there and do stuff. I gotta go out there and overcome things. Well, I don't want to hear that message. It's much more comfortable to hear that nothing is I don't control anything. I am where I am because society is this way.
What's going on in the UK?
So I'm gonna end it right there, but exactly what he says. No one's coming to save you, right? If you want to fix something, you are your best option of getting it fixed. If you want a third party to fix it, like let's say, hey, I need $1,000. Let's say you're in debt, $1,000 in debt, and the mafia is gonna kill you if you do not get $1,000. Who's better able to fix that problem? You waiting on your brother or someone else? You're at the mercy of someone else to provide you that $1,000, or you go, hey, let me find how much jobs I can work. Let me go do something to generate $1,000. The degree of separation is a lot faster. That means it's highly probable that if you have a problem in your life, it's usually up to you to fix it. This is why I don't believe a lot of black people when they start crying about, oh, I'm not successful because of racism. Oh, the system's against me. That's why I'm not successful in life. I don't believe none of that crap. Because I know even my personal experience validates this experience. Like I'm using my life as a test, as an experiment. Me, Kenny, do not believe racism can ever get in my way. My skin color is not a handicap. Victimhood is a waste of energy because it prevents me from using my energy effectively to actually doing something that can make my situation less worse, my situation better, right? The same energy you use to justify and excuse yourself of personal responsibility because, oh, I'm a black woman, right? That's why they're coming after me. It's not because I went on vacation, paid my boyfriend double the rate that I usually pay other prosecutors. That's the reason. That's not the reason why people are coming after me. People coming after me because of my skin color. When if she was to use her same energy instead of trying to find reasons to excuse blame, use that energy. Hey, I gotta take accountability. Let me deal with the situation by actions, right? Because usually your personal decision, eternal decisions have a higher impact on the outcomes that you experience than external. It's very rare that external situations, external factors, external actions have a bigger effect than your own internal actions. And that's the reality with any group, any individual. But that's not the message that people don't want to hear. People don't want to hear this tough love. They want to hear, oh, baby, it's not your fault, right? It's like a mother, right? Your mom, I'm going Jordan Peterson again. Jordan Peterson has this archetype where they talk about the dark mother and the tyrannical father. The tyrannical father is he's too rigid. He puts too much restrictions on you that he suffocates you. While the mom, she don't want you to do anything, but she makes you helpless. And if she doesn't do anything for you, she enables you to be your worst aspect of yourself. They say if a mom babies her son, she can unknowingly create a tyrant because the tyrant's not used to hearing no. What do you mean no? You dare resist me? How dare you? Easily offended, right? You see all these feminized men, highly emotional, very aggressive, don't know how to control themselves, don't know how to self-regulate their emotions, right? My father taught me the most dangerous man in society is an emotional one. Because if you make an emotional man mad, he might hit you. He might hit you, right? Imagine a man with the mental, emotional sensibilities of a woman. That's a dangerous man, period. That's a dangerous man. Because you see how when women get emotional, they hit people, they cry, they lash out, they break people's cars. Now imagine a man acting that. Dangerous. But what we hear in society, oh man, get in touch with your feminine side. Oh, you make it you're gonna create another domestic abuser. This is why we teach our sons. This is why we teach our boys to control their emotions, because we know with great power comes what? Great responsibility. And this is why victimhood and collectivism is losing ground in our culture today. Thanks for watching the stream, guys. I really appreciate you guys all watching. Don't forget to like the video. I hope to hear all your thoughts, your insights. Let me know what you guys think about your favorite segment in this stream. Let me hear it in the comment section below. I'll have the live streams up. If you want, guys, my banned video where I accidentally talked about vaccine science, and that's what got my video taken down. You can check it out on Rumble, episode 39. I'm sure you can find it. I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Hope you guys rest up, enjoy yourself. You know, crazy news week this week, but I digress. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you found this video insightful, and I'll catch you guys on the next live stream next week. See you next week, Friday. Bye-bye.